Hey there everyone, Russ Hamilton here. Got another great video for you. I've been involved in a lot of different incidents, situations in my career, assaults and escape pursuits and riots and finding weapons on people. And, all of that pales in comparison to this.
What's up? What's
Those are the things that we hope never happens to us. We hope that, we never have to face a situation like that. And it's always the thing, though, that if you're like me, it's always in the back of your mind, and you wonder, what could you do to survive it if it ever happened to you? And so this video is brought to you by Guardian RFID. So, all right, let's get right to it. So first of all, hostage situations, there's basically two types. There's planned and there's unplanned. So on the unplanned side of the equation, something goes wrong. Maybe an escape attempt gets uncovered, or maybe there's some kind of situation that erupts out on the yard, something goes bad, and for whatever reason, it just devolves into the situation where hostages are taken. And that can be really bad because it's tense, it's uncertain. None of the people that are taking the hostages know what's really going on. And so it's just complete chaos. On the other end of the spectrum, though, you've got the planned ones that, maybe they planned it because they're going to try to escape. Maybe they've planned it because they're trying to, protest something that they see as an injustice. But those situations, they may have already committed to the fact that they're going to, hurt a hostage or kill a hostage. And so those can be equally dangerous. I don't think there's one that I would prefer over the other, except to say this, is that hostage takers, if they're just doing something to try and, protest living conditions or medical care or something like that, you may be in less danger than if they are committed to some sort of ideology, be it philosophy, politics, religion, whatever it is. Because sometimes in their mind, then they're able to justify hurting or killing a hostage for whatever that end goal is. And so those are things that you have to be able to assess on the fly. If you're in this type of situation, it has to be something where you can maybe understand a little bit of their thinking. Maybe you can get a little bit one up. Having said all that, the bad thing about being a correctional officer or correctional personnel in this, we tend to be those type of people that are take charge and we're going to fix it. And, hey, I'll help you talk to the negotiations management team or do this or that or the other thing. They already have a problem with authority. Let's not make it worse. Let's not make someone focus on us. We want to be in that position where they are concentrated on what's happening to the exterior of the situation and not about what we're doing. Do not get involved in making promises, that sort of thing. I'm going to start running down a quick little list here of a few things that I've got, a few thoughts I have on the subject. So let's get started. Don't resist. Comply with what they are telling you to do. You don't want to be resistive because resistance puts them in a position where they have to make an example of you, especially if there's multiple hostage takers and there's multiple hostages. So just go along to get along for the moment. As I said before, don't get into political, religious, philosophical, ideological conversations with them of any kind. Don't agree with them. Don't disagree with them. Stay as silent as you can while still complying, answering the minimum of what they're asking you for at that moment. Don't give advice. Don't complain. Don't whine. If you give them advice and it goes wrong, you're going to really be stoking their ire and they are going to focus on you and potentially hurt or kill you. Don't let them put anything over your head if you possibly can. We want to be looking at them and talking to them face to face. We don't want to be glaring at them. We don't want to, be giving them the old stink eye or anything like that. We want to personalize ourselves to them. We want to, become humans to them. We want to establish a relationship. We want to establish rapport. And you can't do that as easily if you have a bag or something over your head, and it makes it easier for them to dispose of you. So, really try and work on the whole relationship thing, but at the same time, don't volunteer too much, don't give away too much. All right, let's talk about escapes for a second. Can you escape? Possibly you could. If, however, there are multiple hostage takers, and if there are multiple hostages, you have to think about what could happen to those hostages if you leave them behind. They may try and make an example and hurt or kill another hostage. So you may have to just stay put. If you're in a position that you're the only hostage and you are not sure if you can get away with it, you still might have to sit tight, because at that point, if they catch you, if they're able to stop your escape attempt, the chances of you being hurt or killed are going to rise dramatically. Now, remember, most of the bad things that happen to hostages happen in two places during the whole incident. They happen at the very beginning, when things are all chaotic and nobody knows what's going on, and they're trying to get control over everyone. That's when sometimes they'll act out, kill a hostage, multiple hostages, hurt people, whatever it is. The other thing happens at the end, where they're finally starting to give up, and there may be some disagreement between the hostage takers, and so some of them act out, lash out, even though they've tried to arbitrate some kind of final end to the thing with negotiations management, and or it becomes necessary to send in a rescue team. Those are the bad things that happen. But the longer you can protract that thing out and keep it going, in general, the less likely you are to be hurt or killed. So that's what we want to do. We want to take the energy out of that. We want it to go on for a little while. Plus, one of the things you really have to consider at that point is that while that hostage rescue team is out there, they have to get ready. They have to get all of their equipment together. They have to know where the exits and the entrances of the thing are. They have to try and gain some intel as to how many hostage takers there are. There's so many things that they have to go through. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to stop their preparations because they have to make an emergency breach of the situation because somebody's getting hurt or killed in that situation. So just make time go by as slowly as possible.
He just stabbed him again. He just stabbed him in the leg.
Steven's sitting out.
Why
are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Who stabbed him? Why are you doing that?
Okay, so I don't know if any of you have heard of Stockholm Syndrome, but it's a very real effect. It's a psychological effect. It's very powerful. In a protracted hostage situation, people start to identify with their captors. They start to see them as the only ones that can guarantee their safety. This all became known as Stockholm Syndrome by a bank in Stockholm, where there was a protracted hostage situation, and some of these hostages even ended up marrying these guys that were their hostage takers and stuff, months down the road. So think about not being affected by that. Try and make sure that you are not identifying with them under, no matter what else is being said, and do your best to fight against that and know that it's a real thing. When we get to this part that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, this is going to become much more apparent as to why that can be so important. So, as I mentioned before, don't try and put yourself into the middle of this thing where, you're talking to negotiations management and all of that, unless they force you. But if they do force you, be prepared and ready to give to the negotiations management team as much intel as possible, because they're going to, call in there. Maybe it's on a phone, some other device. And if the hostage takers can't hear what they're saying, they're going to start asking you a series of questions like this. How many hostage takers are there? Say yes when I get to the right number. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on like that. And so by you saying very few words, you're actually going to be able to give them hopefully the number of hostage takers, whether they have any weapons, how many hostages there are, if anybody's hurt. But they're going to start with that main thing, which is about how many hostages there actually are. So just, be thinking, be smart, and be ready to, give those answers in a succinct amount of time and with as quickly as you can. The people on the other end of that line are going to know exactly how to do it. All right. So we're down to the end of our hostage situation here. Maybe something has been worked out. Maybe there's going to be a release of hostages. Maybe some people that are hurt are going to go first. Maybe they're going to make a good faith effort to release 1 or 2 people. And hopefully that's going to follow into the end of this thing here. This is the dangerous time, though, because if anything goes wrong, they may want to start hurting people. But having said that, we might also be at a potential end here where it's all going to go wrong. And because people are being hurt or because the team is ready, and that they don't think that there's any chance of actually, working out a settlement, now it's go time, right? This is the time where the team enters. So let me tell you this, what you want to do at this point is you are not part of that team. Your job is to get down, protect potentially, other hostages that are there, and then comply with whatever you are told by that team as it enters. This is the problem that they have. They may not know who you are. And even if you have a local team, remember what I said about that Stockholm Syndrome earlier? Sometimes that causes people to sympathize in a way where they will actually interpose themselves between the hostage takers and the hostage rescuers. That is how powerful that particular facet of our psychology can be, and how we can trick ourselves into doing something that's truly, truly silly. So another thing to consider is some of the hostage takers, they may have taken uniforms off of some of the hostages. It may not be easy to tell who is who. There's going to be potentially gas in the air. There's potentially, flashbangs being used. So this is the part where you have to cover up, do what you're told, and expect several things to happen. You're probably going to be handcuffed. Do not resist. Let them finish handcuffing you and get on to the rest of whatever they're doing. You may be manhandled.
Grab the deputy! Grab the deputy! Stop. He's good. Peel out. He's good.
But that's not a bad thing, because if they're manhandling you, they're probably pulling you out of harm's way. They're probably getting you out the door. They're trying to sort through everything as it's going on. So just be advised, this is the time not to panic. This is the time that you're about to finally see freedom again. So anyway, I hope that that little bit of advice sticks with you. You know what? It's just the basics. If you can, I suggest, you get out there and you take a real hostage survival course. 8 hours is nice. But, when these things happen at the very end, well, just look for yourselves. I'm going to run through a few here right now. beginning to end. This is Russ Hamilton. I'm signing off.
Right in that porta closet. Tell them to get ready.
Give me a towel.
Tell that team 1 to be ready.
We got Hartzell. Is he good? Is he good? I don't know. Yeah, he's moving. He's moving.
What you see, call out what you see. You know what it is.
Slow. Nice and slow. Nice and slow.
Get
in your fucking cell.
He's got enough. Call out what you see, call out what you see. You know what it is.
Slow. Nice and slow. Nice and slow.
Get